So we're going to start this evening with the virtual village. I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Karimah, and she's going to talk about some of the projects that the virtual village is working on currently.
Awesome. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to share my screen really quickly here. Good evening. Hope you all had a good day. I'm happy that many of our Houston members are now back with power. That's a good thing. I understand I still don't have power in my neighborhood in Houston, but I think it's coming tomorrow. So for the virtual village, I just want to do a quick recap. I'm sharing my screen here. This screen is to the link tree. That's our portal for information about the shrine. The link tree is what we use right now. It is not a website, but it's a place where information is stored about the shrine. This link tree is for members, visitors, anybody looking to find information about our online experience, how to give donations or support our efforts. I'll go to this link in a minute. It shows events and announcements. If people are interested in partnering with us or want to connect with us, they can do it using this link that says connect with us. And I particularly want to talk about locations and service times. There was some question about having service times and locations here. And if you click on that link that says locations and service times, you see that we have all our physical locations with the exception of the places in Africa here on this page. You can find the physical address, a phone number, and the start times. If the regions could take a quick glance at that, if you see anything incorrect with the start times, please let me know. I wasn't sure. I think particularly about Atlanta, and I know that Bila actually does online ministries, I believe. So we
Atlanta is correct.
Okay, yeah. So we'll make some adjustments there. But what I wanted to point out is that this link in the link tree is there, and that the link tree is not just for members, but for anyone who is looking for basic information about the shrine. I'm going to go back real quick, and I was going to attempt to share one more page. It may not work. Just a second. I was going to share a link that says events and announcements. I can't seem to get to it right now, so I'm going to talk through it really quickly. Let's see here. Just here we go. Events and announcements. Events and announcements. This one is pretty significant. This link, this page is pretty static. However, you can access much of our events and announcements on that link. Occasionally, we update it with content that may be relevant, some new content that's relevant. For example, we got the Reimagined reading list here. We have a list of focus groups here. We also have a succession planning survey. I want to point this out because I think it's very important. I'm a survey person. I do surveys because I understand, not understand, but I know that oftentimes organizations, people, companies utilize surveys to help make decisions. And so when organizations, companies, businesses give you an opportunity to complete a survey, it's your chance, your opportunity to have your voice heard. And so I would encourage us as members to take a look at this survey and share your feedback. The responses are anonymous. Nobody knows who's saying what, but it does help our leadership and those who are planning VCN in the future, reimagining. It helps in the decision-making process. So I'd encourage you all to do that survey. And again, these are additional links to different content that we have. This information stays out here all the time. And this link at the bottom is News Around the Nation. And hopefully you can see that, but it's a link that is to the most recent view of News Around the Nation. So it changes every week. And there you can go and find information that's shared in the weekly e-blast. That's pretty much what I wanted to say about the link tree. Basically to highlight that the contact information is there, that the link tree is for members and non-members. So if you have somebody that's asking questions or wants to come out, please share that link tree with them. Secondly, I wanted to mention the fact that there's a project underway to develop a national calendar of events. That means events that impact the whole church. It may also include some region-specific things, but the focus is going to be for events that impact us nationally. That is being worked on and is forthcoming. And lastly, I want to mention that during the Synod, the first presentation was a video done by Bishop Mbiyu entitled "Once There Was a Nation." I don't know if all of you have seen it. We actually shared that video on Synod Sunday. We premiered it. It is a first pass at a chronology of the 70-year history of the Shrines of the Black Madonna. It is by no means an end product, but it's a well done, well edited first pass. And so what we're planning to do is re-release it. And we're going to do like different segments of it. We're going to re-release segments very likely within the week. If not this week, it'll be early next week. We will start releasing segments of it. I encourage you, if you have not seen it, to watch those segments, and we will also publish the video, the full-length video. Again, it is not the end product. It is a step in the journey to tell the 70-year history of the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church. But it was very well done, developed and created by Bishop Mbiyu and edited by Lieutenant K. Fing in Atlanta with a host of other people who supported getting the production done. And so you'll be seeing more about that coming very soon. I don't think I have anything else. Bishop Mbiyu, do you have anything else for me?
Yeah, would you mention briefly the national office number? Another way people can connect with us, because everybody doesn't know about it.
Absolutely. There is a number for to reach the national office. I'm trying to get to it right now, and for whatever reason, I'm not able to. But we do have a number. I'll put it in the chat when I can get to it. But it's a number, a single number that allows individuals who want to contact us by phone to access all regions. So it's one number, and then it's an IVR system where you get prompted to dial 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it is associated with the region, so that you can contact the specific region that you're looking to reach out to. But it's a single number that allows us to get to multiple locations. It's very much like the link tree. It's one number to take you to multiple places. So I'll be sure to put that in the chat before we leave.
Asante, thank you, Reverend Karimah. I didn't see any questions in the chat for you, so we'll keep going. Okay. And if you have some, you can put them in there. We'll come back to it. Next, we have our presiding bishop give us a synod recap and talk a little bit about where we go from here.
I'm muted. I'm sorry. Y'all been trying to do that for a long time. Hello, everybody. I was very satisfied with the synod. I thought it did everything that we were trying to do. I think it really worked out better than we expected. The ancestors and the Creator was with us in trying to get us through the experience and have it be beneficial to everybody. The Africans say when the Lord shows up, everybody get what they needed. So it seems as if everybody got what they needed. I thought it was effective at telling our story. I thought the initial presentation was effective at telling our story and starting the process of building upon a template that we can add to over time to create a more comprehensive story, a more epic story about our history, which we have so much that should be included has been ignored for a long time, and we got a lot of catching up to do. But we can't leave here without there being some chronicle of the work that we've done over the last 70 years. I thought that the introduction of the rethinking process was very helpful, but it was just an introduction. It wasn't long enough to go into the intricacies of rethinking. Rethinking and unlearning as an important part of how an organization evolves. But I think it introduced the idea that rethinking and unlearning is important so that we don't get stuck in any particular place. I thought that the organizations, the agricultural organizations that we were collaborating with, that were discussing Beulah land and what the possibilities were, was very helpful, because I think it led our members to understand how we are regarded in agricultural circles, how important Beulah land is as what they call the North Star, in terms of their hope and aspirations for what Black land ownership can lead to. So I thought that was very well done. The piece on reimagining BCN kind of gave another angle on a history, but really not talking just about the church, but what's happened to Black people over the last 70 years and how the changes that have occurred in the population, in the Black community, has caused us it'd be necessary for us to look at ourselves and who we are and what we're trying to do, and not try to do what we were doing in the 60s in today's world, to modernize ourselves to be effective and to be able to integrate younger people into our operations so that their creative intelligence comes to the table in terms of trying to figure out how we advance, because it's going to be the world that they're going to have to function in rather than the world that older people have already functioned in. And I thought that we tried to introduce a Beulah land business plan. It didn't really work out. It didn't work out effectively. It didn't work out to be effective because there were scheduling problems and there were technological problems. But the strategic business plan is advancing. It's being done, and we have enlisted a company out of Texas to assist us in a plan for Beulah land that we hope to share with the congregation when that plan is finished, about 60 days. So I think that the Synod was very, very effective. And like I said, I think the ancestors and the Lord was with us and made our experience something that we'll always remember, and it'll be able to take us to the next level. Now, as far as next steps are concerned, I think that the presentations being made in orientation will outline all the next steps with each category that's coming after me. The next steps will be outlined. Thank you.
Thank you, Jermoji. I'm gonna go back to the chat. I see a couple of comments and questions. Why don't we use the Shrine building in Houston anymore? That's a question I think you can answer.
Well, it has 30-foot ceilings. It seats 1,500 people. And we have a building in the Culture Center that is already open, that does not have 30-foot ceilings, and it seats 350 people. And it allows us to be able to have service that we can afford. Because if we have to provide air conditioning in a building with 30-foot ceilings and it's 100 degrees outside, we spend more money in one day in the Shrine than we spend in the Culture Center all month.
That's the short answer. All right, I'm gonna just read the rest of the comments and then we'll move on. It was literally the best Synod ever.
I think so.
Our 2024 Synod was amazing. Especially enjoyed how the Clemson professor spoke on the significance of Beulah in the region. There's a question, is Beulah a ranch or a farm? It's both. It's whatever we make is land. So it's whatever we decide it to be. It can be and both. Let's see, there's one more. Our workshops were great. So we'll move on. Let me see if I can share my screen. And we'll talk about some of the next steps. Can you see my screen? Just wave your hand or nod or something if you can see it. Thank you. Let's see if I can get the slideshow mode and play from the start. Okay, so these are our short-term goals and objectives for 2024. So I'm going to go over the next 5 or 6 months of this year and what the plan is moving forward. So we're going to introduce the succession plan in phases. We have just entered into phase 1 starting July 1, and it'll go all the way to June 30 next year. That'll be phase 1 of the 5-year process. So the question we have to ask ourselves now is, how do we use the momentum that we gained from this year-long process? You know, it took us a year to plan the Synod and actually pull it off. So we've been building this energy for a while now, but how do we use that momentum in a constructive and productive way? Our beloved founder, Jamoji Bebe Ajiman, taught us many reigns ago, let's not waste the Holy Spirit, right? So that's the question that we have to start with. So the succession plan is not for us baby boomers, it's for the next generations, for Gen X, it's for the millennials. So everything that we're doing moving forward is about them. And I think that's important for us older members to keep in mind as we move forward with the process. So I'm going to outline 5 steps that are part of this first phase, moving from now to the end of the year. Introduce at least 5 new focus groups. Let me go back. I didn't mean to click that. So we're introducing 5 new focus groups this year. The first focus group is Beulah Land. The Beulah Land focus group is not to replace any other Beulah Land entity. I know some regions have a Beulah Land group. This is not to replace those groups. The Beulah Land Farm actually has its own group. This is in addition to, so think and both, not either or. So the Beulah Land focus group has 2 specific focus items. One is education, and the other one is collaboration. Reverend Mama Hanifa Ajuman is the chair of the Beulah Land focus group. And as soon as she's ready to get started with that, hopefully sometime within the next couple of weeks, you'll get a notice in News Around the Nation. It'll be announced in Sunday service that this focus group is coming online. So if your passion is education and collaboration with Beulah Land as the central point, then that would be a focus group that you want to be a part of. The second focus group that we're going to bring on board within the next couple of weeks is the Millennial Think Tank. And that's a group for progressive and forward-thinking millennials. The focus is millennials. Let me say it again. The focus is millennials. So that's who we want to be a part of that group. That group is going to be facilitated by our own Reverend, soon-to-be Dr. Lumumba Molokai. His background is in social psychology, right? How groups think, how groups work together, how they cooperate, how they get things done. And so he's going to be modeling that in this focus group, helping young people to gain those kind of skills that will help them be more effective leaders in whatever capacity they choose to serve in. And then the third group is the lawyers focus group. We have a lot of we have some millennials who are interested in the law, who are going to school for law right now. So we want to capture their energy, put them together in a way that's meaningful and constructive, where they can work together, support each other, and work together. So that focus group will be coming online sometime soon as well. Reverend Taliba and Reverend Nareti will be working with that group. Then we have the youth program focus group. The youth program focus group is not to replace any youth groups in the church. Let me say it again. It's not to replace anything. What we're trying to do is build a collaboration of all youth efforts and programs, not just for our own youth, but for the youth in our communities, right? So we're trying to figure out, how do we make that happen? How do we build these bridges? How do we make Beulah Land the go-to place for all youth programs and summer camps around the country who would so choose to want to sojourn to our land? So again, it's about collaboration. We have some specific projects that the youth program are going to focus on. Reverend Jay in Atlanta is going to take the lead on that, and he's going to talk about that real soon. So again, you'll find out when these focus groups are going to get started and how you can connect at the appropriate time. And the last focus group is the Creative Writers Group. Now, this focus group is going to serve several purposes. We have a lot of online presence, but we don't have a lot of people working behind the scenes to create content. So we need writers. We need people that can put together messages and put together commercials and put together advertisements and write the kind of content that we want to share with the world. So if you are a writer, if you have some skill in the field of writing, this would be a way for you to get connected. But it's also going to be a creative writing group, right? So we're going to be writing plays and poetry and prose and other things so that we can get our message out in many, many different ways. So Reverend Ishara and I are co-facilitating that focus group. And again, when we're ready to bring it online, you'll be able to find out exactly when it's going to start. We're going to make all these announcements in several places, in Sunday service and news around the nation, in a virtual orientation. Okay, so listen out for those focus groups there. So for those who don't know, a focus group meets only once a month. So it's just a very brief commitment of your time and energy. Once a month. All focus groups only meet once a month, no more than 2 hours. And we place that limit on the focus groups because how many of us Zoom all day, every day, right? So once a month, no more than 2 hours. All focus groups report out to the National Board of Pastors, just so you'll understand that chain of command. Focus groups don't make decisions. Focus groups strategize. That's their job, to strategize around the areas of the church program, ministry, or project area that they are drawn to serve. So all the focus groups collectively are part of our entire reimagining process. Okay, and we'll come back to this again later because I want to share with you how the previous focus groups that we've had got started and how they have been so instrumental in helping us to get to the place where we are right now in the virtual space. But that's objective number one. Objective number two, we're going to begin training and development for our local boards of trustees that have just been newly elected. The local boards of trustees will engage in a 5-month from July to November training process using several tools designed to improve their critical thinking skills, enhance their strategic planning skills, as well as learning the most effective operational practices of established boards, right? So we have to train people how to serve on a board. So all of that's part of the training that's going to be taking place starting this month. Even though this training is specifically for members of local boards of trustees, it is open to all who would like to attend. Some focus groups will be open to whomsoever let them come. Some will have a targeted audience and group, right? So this is one that's open to anybody. If you want to be a part of the training, you're welcome to join us. And there is a training schedule. It should be on the link tree. But we'll make sure that everybody has access to the training schedule. Right now, training started last month. We're doing Reclaiming Stolen Earth, Bishop Jawanza's book, and that training is really for our teachers and preachers and people who deal with the church's theology. But again, you are welcome to attend. It's a very dynamic group. We've had 2 sessions already. We got 2 more before we complete the book. The next session, I think, is, I don't want to get the wrong date, so I'm not going to give it. I have to do some research. I'll let you know. But it's on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. in the same slot that Woke Wednesday used to be. So focus, objective number 3, to implement that leadership training program to prepare the next generation, right? So this is another track of training and development specifically for Gen X and millennials. We'll be having virtual classes, seminars, workshops to delve into the evolution of our shared faith, theology, philosophy, and program as Black Christian nationalists. There will be a virtual training schedule posted in the link tree as well as in News Around the Nation. Some of the classes will be targeted for millennials and Gen X, while others will be open to all to attend. And in a minute, I'm gonna go back and recap what some of those trainings are gonna look like. Objective number 4, local pastors will begin identifying key operational and administrative positions to fill. So over the last, I don't know, 20 years, we have lost a lot of members, right? A lot of skills, talents, gifts, and abilities. And a lot of those voids in our program have not been filled. So each local pastor is going to start looking at these voids that need to be plugged in immediately, sooner rather than later, and how we can start getting people ready to fill those voids. So that process involves transitioning baby boomers by identifying those who are qualified and committed among Gen X and millennials to begin shadowing them, modeling for them, and mentoring them to eventually be able to fulfill those positions. So the baby boomers are going to be doing all of the teaching and training and shadowing and modeling and mentoring and coaching. And the Gen Xers and millennials are going to be the ones who are being groomed for leadership. And then objective number 5 in our phase 1 is to expand our Pan-African network by securing organizational presence in 5 new countries. We talked about it briefly at the Synod, and this list is not exhaustive in any way. We really gonna go how the Holy Spirit leads us. We know so we have some ideas about what we'd like to see happen, but again, we're gonna trust that the Holy Spirit will lead us in the right way. So we already know that we're gonna have a formal presence in Ghana. We've already laid the foundation for that. We're also looking at another country in West Africa. I put the Gambia because we already have a local presence and connection there. We're also looking at moving into Canada, the islands, South America, and Central America. So those are our 5 objectives for the next 6 months of 2024. Before we get to the end of the year, we'll have the projection for the first 6 months of 2025 and what that's going to look like. You got a book list in the Synod booklet of all the books that we're going to be using for training and development. I already mentioned Reclaiming Stolen Earth. We talked about the book Think Again at the Synod, but if you don't have that book, you want to participate in the workshop, get the book, Think Again. The other books that we're going to be using specifically for the Board of Trustees is The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. The specific book that we're going to be using for our youth programming is called The Anxious Generation. And even though our focus is to develop our youth leaders, teachers, and what have you, it's really open to all young people who have children. And I would highly recommend this book if you don't have it. The Anxious Generation is by Jonathan Haidt, H-A-I-D-T. But I think it's on the book list. But this book talks about how the nature of childhood has changed over the last 20, 25 years, and how children still need a play-based and independent exploration as the foundation of who they become, right? And without that, what the consequences of that are. So over the last 20 or so years, children have done less and less play, and most of their life is on a screen. Okay, so what are the effects of that? What's the consequences of that? What's the impact of that? It has really rewired the psyche of a child. So we need to understand it, because we all have children and grandchildren, not just the people who work with children who need to understand it, but we all need to understand what the fourth digital revolution has done to the psyche of youth and how they see the world. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about their social and neurological development and how it's been interfered with. And we're going to be talking about some of the current issues that youth, children, and young people, adolescents face: sleep deprivation, loss of attention, addiction, loneliness, social contagion, social comparison, and all of those things that lead to all kind of neurotic behaviors that we see in young people today, including suicide. So we're going to take a deep dive into that book. Like I said, it's not just for people who work with children, but anybody who has children and grandchildren. It'd be helpful for you to understand how the world is impacting them. So that's it. I'll go to questions in the chat after I stop sharing my screen, but I'm going to finish my presentation. So Anniversary Month is coming up real soon. Our theme for Anniversary Month 2025 is Embracing Intergenerational. Again, we want to feed off of the synergy of the Synod as we go into Anniversary Month and find creative ways to share our struggle with those who are like us, but who are not us, right? So as we plan Anniversary Month, we want to keep that spirit of collaboration in mind, inviting other folks into our space to help celebrate our struggle for freedom and self-determination. And then I'm going to end with this. We've been talking about at the Synod a trip to the motherland. So we are planning for February 20th through the 28th, 2025, and those dates aren't hard and fast yet. So we're talking about going to Ghana, where we already, like I said, have a presence there, and there's a huge community of African Americans who are eager for us to show up, right? They're looking for us to make a presence in Ghana. So we're going to be using a travel agency called Miramar Travel and Tours. The owner is Juanita Sims. That's her number right there. I'll put it in the chat as well. The approximate cost for the trip, you should be planning for a minimum of $3,500. Might be a little more, might be a little less, but that should be your budgeting plan. For more information, please don't call me. Call Reverend Kenyatta. He is the organizer for this trip, and his number is right there as well. If you want to jot it down, 313-971-5560. Okay, so you have plenty of time to prepare if you'd like to be a part of the delegation to Accra, Ghana in 2025. And I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to go to the chat first, and then I'm going to pass the baton to Reverend Ifatayo Let's see what I see in the chat. Where can I find the book list? I think I already answered that. It's in the Synod book. It's on the link tree. I'm interested in the Millennial Think Tank. That's great. For those of you who don't know the people that I named that are in charge, ask your local pastor for their information and you should be able to get it from them. But like I said, there will be formal announcements about each focus group as it comes online. Is training available for the focus groups, particularly the creative writing? The creative writing focus group is not going to be about training writers. We're looking for writers. So we're not gonna be training writers. We're looking for writers, people who can already write, because we have a lot of content that needs to be developed and expanded upon in the virtual space. So we are looking for writers at this point. What about the Gen Z folks? I thought I mentioned the Gen Z folks. They're going to be on both sides of the equation. They're going to be doing some of the mentoring and training, and they're going to be participating in some of the mentoring and training as well. So no, Gen Z is not excluded. Are there any disaster relief efforts for the shrine? Jamoji, I'll let you address that. Let's come back to that at the end, though. People are concerned about our shrine in Houston after the hurricane and want to know what they can do to help. The classes that are open to all is that nation members only. Anybody who knows me knows I don't do anything that's nation members only. So we talking about young people. They don't have to be in our orbit yet. Where can I find the book list? I answered that. Get your passport. I have 3 questions. Are the focus groups a means of passing the baton? That's the training part of it. Yes, absolutely. You don't just give somebody a responsibility without preparing them to handle it, right? So Jermoji Bebe did an excellent job training and developing us before he sent us out to take on the world. So that's the most important part of this whole process, y'all. We got to train folks. Will the presentations from the Synod be made available also? Yes. So the Virtual Village team is working on that, editing those presentations, and they will be made available. And let me say this too. The Virtual Village team, production team, is a real small crew. We don't praise them enough for the work they do. And they certainly can use some help because there's a lot to do. So if you know people who have those kind of skills, you ought to be steering them that way because we need their help. Will filling key void positions require updating the organizational chart? Absolutely, it will. How will all this knowledge be applied? Well, that's up to the people who are gaining the knowledge. We're going to entrust them to be able to apply it in the work and the areas where they're called to serve. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Ifatayo, and she's going to talk about the Board of Trustees, and I'm going to pull up her document. Can you see it on the screen?
I can. Just scroll up, please, to the beginning. Okay. Greetings, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day. I am here, and I will only take a minute or two. I would just like to report out to you the results from the Board of Trustees elections, which took place beginning probably the middle to the end of May and ended in the middle of June. So just want to kind of recap the big picture. In December of 2023, the Board of Directors met and amended the bylaws as it relates to the Board of Trustees. Each congregation shall have a Board of Trustees, which will manage the temporal affairs of the local church and assist the pastors with its ministries. The Board of Trustees shall have no fewer than 7 members. And so this being our first year operating under these guidelines. We kind of set the base at 7 members per board this first cycle. This is our maiden voyage with this particular project. So I am happy to report that all 3 regions, Detroit, Atlanta, and Houston, participated in the election process and have elected a 7-member board of trustees. So let me go by the numbers. The national voter turnout was 74%. We had 233 eligible members and 171 voted. And here you have the breakdown. Detroit, 82 eligible members, 54 voted, 4% of 66%. There were 7 candidates on their ballot. In Atlanta, we had 85 members eligible to vote, 71 voted, with the percentage of 84, and we had 11 candidates to choose from. And Houston, 66 members eligible to vote, 46 voted, which was a 70% turnout. And they had 9 members. I just want to say and share with you that Houston held the runoff because for the 3rd position, there was a tie. And so I think shortly after we returned from the Synod, they held their runoff election. And so now all regions have a fully seated board of trustees. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, move up somebody. Thank you. Okay, so who are the elected and appointed board of trustees by region? So according to the amended bylaws, the pastors in each region will sit on the boards. And so Baba Chewy, Bishop Mawenda, Bishop Dijanaba, they all sit on the board, on their local boards. From Detroit, you can see who the members are. From Atlanta, you can see who the members are. And from Houston, you can see who the members are. The asterisks are actually the elected members. So the appointed members from Detroit are Cadet Sekou, Reverend Ando, Captain Takuma, and the appointed members from Atlanta are Reverend Ayana, Reverend Reuben Warren, and Elder Nabenle, and from Houston, Reverend Ebenezer, Reverend Aswad, and Reverend Akila. We also have an alternate identified for each region. Should for any region a sitting board member is unable to fulfill his or her term. In Detroit, Jelani is the alternate. In Atlanta, Walama Diallo is the alternate. And in Houston, General Chewy. So what are the next steps? We are currently, the local board of trustees focus group, we are currently scheduling the regional orientation and onboarding of the new members of the board of trustees in each region. So our focus group members assigned to each region will be reaching out to the newly elected and appointed board members to a time that works for everyone so that we can hold our orientation and onboarding process. And the regional board of trustees focus group advisors are Reverend Ada and Reverend Maia from Atlanta, Sister Dara and Sister Reverend Elijah from Detroit, and Captain Zalani from Houston. And so their role really is on the ground support to the boards as they transition and begin to do the work that they've been charged to do. So those members will be your go-to individuals should you need any support, should you need questions answered, should you need them to sit in with you and think through some things. That is what they will advise you in those capacities. We have, as a part of the orientation process, we developed a standard operating procedures manual for the local boards of trustees, and part of it does include for a period of time, monthly board meetings as a mandate. And that is really to kind of get the board members kind of acclimated and organized and functioning as a board, and at some point in time, then the board will be able to determine, okay, yes, let's stay meeting once a month. No, let's meet every other month. That decision will then come, will be made by the board, local boards of trustees. The officers identified will be chair, vice chair, and secretary. And a part of the standard operating procedures call for a quarterly meeting with the congregation. So each local board of trustee shall schedule a quarterly board of trustees meeting that is open to the congregation to share out with the congregation. And this is all in the spirit of transparency and accountability. So that's my 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Ife. Let me go back to the chat, see if you got any questions.
Yeah, there was a question I see. When do we get the bylaws? The bylaws have been made available on a number of occasions, but we can certainly make them available again. And by number of means, I can't, but we will certainly make them available. So if you want to communicate with the Board of, the Board of Governors, we shared before our email. It's paocc.bog@gmail.com. So any requests, any questions, any comments, any feedback, we will certainly respond to those if you would just let us know. Thank you.
Okay, Asante Sana. I believe we have some updates from Bila Kuta. Reverend Ambidwile, are you on the call?
I'm here.
Want to speak on Bila Kuta?
Peace and blessings to everyone. I'm here as a member of the Bila Kuta steering committee, which consists of Reverend Neonu Walimu Olotunji, Major Kalomo Masai, Sister Ashanti Kafi, and also Sister Karimah at times. But we've created a virtual group space for seekers who are challenged by proximity and possibly by health challenges also. And so for over a year, we've been meeting bi-weekly with brothers and sisters who still are interested in knowing more about our Best Self movement. Some of our faithful members are Major Chikadike from Florida by way of Houston, Brother Tremaine Oliver out of Texas, Sister Zahur from South Carolina, Sister Amma Benjamin from Virginia, Samuel Haley from Indiana, Sister Atima from Belgium, Major Abubakar from Mississippi by way of Atlanta and Houston. And then one of our newest members, Sister Jermaine Jenkins, who was interested in developing land and those kinds of efforts. She was at the Synod from a referral from Dr. Nima. There's also a Sister Abaresh from Saginaw, Michigan. And so for over a year, we've established a projected model for our organization, and we've labeled the model or the areas in the model as collaboratives that we want to have members who come in to participate or engage into those collaboratives. We've labeled them to cover such areas as social ministries, cultural, health, technical, but they could change depending on what people bring or what their skills are. So for instance, Dr. Nima came in and she wanted to do something with social justice and health. And so she began writing grants and obtaining resources and training for that area. So she started working with the Call to Care here in Michigan. But she came in and hit the ground running. That's exactly what we want when we try to recruit people in leadership. We want people to begin to get engaged. We don't want to hinder them. And so we also have Reverend Imani Karega, who is ministering our Facebook page, Shrine Bila Kuta, and you may find her on Facebook offering posts, information for your edification, and she's trying to create the dialogue for people interested in liberation and understanding and getting greater knowledge of who we are, of our mindset, those kinds of things. We also have an Instagram page, PAOCC_SBK, PAOCC_SBK. We encourage people to follow us, make comments, like, and share. Walimu Olatunji has the African history classes on Saturdays, which have been well attended. We encourage people to share that and share that information with others. We would also encourage others who have friends, family, and neighbors who may fit our profile, to encourage them to follow us or to go out to the link tree and click on the Shrine Bila Kuta tab and complete the contact information, and someone will contact you immediately. That's all I have for this evening. If you have any questions, or you may send them to myself or one of our steering committee staff.
All right, Asante Sana, for that. I'm gonna go back to the chat. We had a couple of questions. Reverend Ife, I think they're addressed to you. The alternates were not chosen. They were the person. Oh, Jim Moji answered that they were the person with the most votes.
Yeah, the person with the fourth most votes.
Can you type the board of directors email address?
I just did that.
Okay.
Board of directors or board of governors was what I was speaking of.
Board of governors.
Yeah, I just put that in the chat.
Are the bylaws and code of conduct the same thing? No. The codes of conduct are still being developed. Oh, okay. Okay, moving on. Any announcements from the local pastors before we have a prayer benediction? I'll start out. The Central Region, we're honoring the transition of our beloved mother, McKinney Ribron. The services are this coming Saturday at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church. Family hour starts at 10. The service begins at 11. 17600 James Cousins. This Saturday is Food Pantry Saturday. Come on out and help us help the community. And I believe that's it. The Board of Trustees has a meeting this Thursday to elect officers at, I think it's at 6 o'clock at the Shrine. I hope I got that time right. Okay, Houston.
Yes, glad to be with you and glad to be have power.
I know,
we made
right?
it through. We made it through the storm. And we're still standing strong. We will continue to have somebody asked about disaster relief, but the Culture Center has been posting the different resources that are available throughout the city of Houston. They're on our Culture Center Facebook page. But in addition to that, we still hold our regular Saturday food giveaway. And it also will have essential items. Plus, we're trying to make sure that we connect with all of our brothers and sisters, keep in contact with not just our members, but those brothers and sisters in the community. This coming Sunday, we are going to be blessed with a message from our presiding Bishop, Jeremiah Kimathi. So we're looking forward to that this coming Sunday in person.
Thank you. Bishop Mwenda.
All right, thank you. This coming Saturday, we have our hands from my hands to your hands. Starting on Friday is the preparation. On Saturday is the distribution. Preparation starts at 11 a.m. Distribution of the food is on Saturday, which is the 20th at 8 a.m. We also have our church meeting and orientation immediately following worship service this Sunday. We'll have our Kazi on the 27th at 10 a.m. Also, again, we're going to be collecting school supplies for our youth starting this Sunday, July 21st, during and after worship service. And as has been mentioned before, our online African history class every Saturday from 12:30 to 1:30. The information to log in can be obtained from news around the nation. Also, this Saturday, we'll be honoring the life and the works of our mother, Mashariki. Her homegoing service will be at 12 noon on this coming Saturday. And also, our preparedness meetings for various disasters is held every Monday that we don't have orientation. And that information to log on can be obtained from Colonel Daoudi.
And Reverend, I don't mean to interrupt your meeting. What I want to say is that Colonel Daoudi can help Houston and Detroit with the emergency preparedness meeting.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I just mentioned that so that he can give the link, but they can also come online to participate virtually in those sessions.
And so all are welcome to attend.
Yes, sir, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, it's been rich.
Beautiful land.
One has been fed. Beulah Land is gonna close us out with some announcements. Then the most honorable Molokai is gonna give us a prayer.
We just want to announce that we have a house, a legacy home that are open. We encourage the boards for the regions to schedule meetings and come out. Look at your calendars. You don't have to rush, but there's openings for you to share your experiences here at Beulah Land in our homes, you know. Manifa Wagango House, and then of course the Jahi Legacy Home. And remember to leave it better than when you found it.
Ashe.
Amen.
Ashe.